moving ahead to the Ravens, Lamar gets his contract signed. So that is very, very good for them. That's a huge deal. They don't have to stare down the barrel. Remember all of that drama, guys? You guys remember when we were like, who are the Ravens going to have at quarterback? Like, it was this weird period of time where we legitimately didn't know who it was going to be. That is very strange to me.
I was trying so hard to fish Snoop Tyler Huntley for a second. I was like, this is the starting quarterback for the Ravens. Somebody come get him.
Yeah, no, it was big, like a tappy trap. Like, it was, hey, come get the guy. They're not going to sign Lamar. He said goodbye in the tweet. Did you read the tweet? He said goodbye.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, he did, but he also signed a massive contract. He's going to be a Raven for the rest of forever. So, yeah, are we looking like upticking for Lamar? Are we excited about Lamar? It's a little tricky, right? Because he's obviously a huge rushing threat guy, but I mean, he got old fast. He's like 27 already. It's kind of ridiculous, and that's a little scary given his workload and what he does. I want to ask Eric, because I honestly don't know your Lamar take. Where do you have him? Are you up on Lamar?
I think he's solidly between QB 7 to 10, where we want to put him in there. Like, if he's my QB1, I'm happy, but I'm not like over the moon, right? Like, I'm not expecting to have a contending team for the next 5 to 10 years with Lamar. And I think if you did drafts when all the uncertainty was going on and you got Lamar, I know we got Lamar in one league, like beginning of the second round, you're super happy about it, right? But if you are drafting now and you're getting Lamar 1.06, 1.07, you're not over the moon about it. I feel like he's right in that like 110 to 112 range feels right for him in like a startup draft if you're in a 12-team league, personally. If he's my QB1, I'm happy for the next 2 years. Beyond that, I'm probably looking to improve.
All right, Mike, Steelers fan, thoughts on Lamar? Can he return to QB1 in fantasy form?
Yes. End of take.
All right.
No, he has the rushing upside. His injuries are no more, no less than what other people have seen. Like, yes, Ravens players have injury histories. Yes, that's a drink for both of you and for me in a moment. But when we talk about his ability to avoid the big hits, and his arm's super underrated. So he might age quickly, but I think he's going to age well and maybe become a little bit more of a pocket passer. He's talked to Mike Vick about how to translate that game, but he's doing better with that. Like, Lamar to Mike Vick is a better comparison than Tua to Mike Vick. No offense to Tua, but that's my thoughts. I think Lamar is firmly a top 8 dynasty quarterback for Fs.
All right. Yeah. I think I agree with you for the most part. I mean, he has the skill set to still be that guy. Nothing's really changed in that regard. His injuries don't super scare me for like his overall value and his overall skill set. He even adds Zay Flowers. So he adds Zay Flowers and Odell Beckham Jr. He arguably has the best weapons overall that he's ever had. Let's not forget Rashad Bateman. So he has like a decent trio there. He still has Mark Andrews. He's got J.K. Dobbins in the backfield. It's a pretty overall like nice looking offense that he's got going there. So he gets his contract settled. I have to imagine the Ravens are confident in that contract, even though it seemed like they were otherwise during the offseason. And so if they believe in him like that, I believe too. So why not QB1 Lamar Jackson? Okay. Well, let's go to the running game. Actually, you mentioned Dobbins. He's like kind of a up or down guy lately. I mean, he's been obviously the injury made him super, super down, and then he came back early, and you're like, oh, yay, super, super up. He came back early, and then he gets injured again. And you're like, oh man, he shouldn't have come back early, and down, down, down. And then it's like, okay, he's finally healthy now, and he's explosive still, and I'm excited for him. Lamar Jackson's back. Let's go offense. And now he's like hinting at maybe holding out, and it's like, oh no, it's very like roller coaster for J.K. Dobbins. I still like him. Look, I'll make my statement here loud and clear about holding out players. I just don't see it happening in like most cases, unless there's like a very weird outlying event where like the player was disrespected or like something weird happened, I'm like, the player's not going to lose millions of dollars by holding out. They're just not going to do it. It would be crazy to do it. So it's not going to happen. So I'm up on J.K. Dobbins. I think he'll be a top tier RB2, maybe with a sprinkle of possible RB1 back end finish. But what about you, Mike? How do you see him?
Yeah, I think he's got loads of upside. Todd Monken is going to run a offense. I made this joke last week, but an offense for the 21st century. I think there's an opportunity for Dobbins here to take a huge step forward with the injury, that's another drink, with the new offense. And then he's still young enough that he's going to be able to bounce back. So I think Dobbins is underrated right now. And then he's going to be maybe in the like a young Chubb range where you're worried about the workload because he's not going to get all sorts of carries, but the carries that he does get, he's averaged over 5 yards. He's explosive, and he did that on one leg. So imagine how fast he'll be on 2 legs. Eric, what do you think about Dobbins?
That before Eric answered, I just want to say like it's a pretty good comparison. I don't know if you thought about this when you made it, but having the sort of Chubb comparison where you're like, okay, well, Nick Chubb is still going to get goal line carries, but it's like, well, if Watson comes back and does what he kind of is known to do and is a little more scrambly, the Watson, Chubb, Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins comparison is actually a little closer than you might think from first glance. But yeah, Eric, what do you think about J.K. Dobbins in general?
I like J.K. I don't know if I want him as my RB1. I feel like
I think it's very safe to say you do not want him as RB1. I think he's the perfect RB2.
I think he's a great RB2. If I got J.K. as my RB2, I'm feeling pretty good about it. I still think Lamar Jackson's RB1 there, at least for another year. And then we'll see where they go from there. They have other good running backs, though. Like Gus Edwards is Gus still there,
yeah,
right?
Let's talk about Gus Edwards a little bit. That's a good point because he's looked good. He's only going to be, I think, 27 coming into the season. So not like fall off a cliff age. And he's looked good. He's had startable weeks in fantasy.
Right. I feel like it's more of a running back by committee there with JK beating the lead probably. But I also think with this giant Lamar contract and with them getting rid of Greg Roman, they're going into this whole Lamar wants to prove he can throw. I'm a sling it mentality. And I think they're going to be running less. Plus, I mean, they got Odell who they're going to have to feed. They've got Bateman who's good. They've got Mark Andrews. If they sign DeAndre Hopkins, there's another guy who they supposedly Lamar wants really bad. I think if he's my RB2, I'm feeling good about JK, but I am a little bit concerned, and it's not because of the injury.
Just a real quick note on Gus Edwards. He is 28 years old, coming off of an ACL tear, and he's never caught more than 15 passes in a season. I think that goes back to college. I would have to look up college stuff. So if this offense is something that uses running backs in the way they're supposed to be used, Dobbins is the guy for all of the good stuff. And Gus is the guy for it's third and short at midfield. Like, cool. If you get points per first down, Gus is your guy. If you get points for real fantasy, Dobbins is your guy.
I'm not saying I want Gus for fantasy. I'm just saying I feel like you might take away from JK more than you want.
Yeah, I rock with that.
I think it's a fair point, though. I mean, I didn't realize he was 28. I recognized the ACL tear. I thought he had a year under that. I thought he was 27. So, I mean, 28 is getting a little dicey. But I also just, before we move on, I want to shout out because one of you two, it's getting really hard to figure out who's saying what because I've had a lot to drink. One of you said DeAndre Hopkins to the Ravens. I think it was Eric. And I just want to shout, was it Mike? Someone said it. So if that happens, that's going to be crazy, but I want to shout out because we had a little contest in the RPG Discord where we were guessing free agent landing spots. And I think it's surprising to note that out of the 15 responses we got, only one person had DeAndre Hopkins to the Ravens. And I want to shout out the Ravens fan in the RPG Discord, Livid Shadow, that had that guess. Odell and DeAndre Hopkins, that would be pretty massive. But yeah, I think given the responses, it's probably unlikely. New England Patriots were the top selection for DeAndre Hopkins, which is also gross. But moving on, we talked the running game, we talked Lamar, Mark Andrews. I mean, do you guys think it's a little strange that I mean, I know Travis Kelce is Travis Kelce. He's obviously great. His age is a little up there, but Mark Andrews is also very, very good and is younger than Kelce by 5 years, yet he never is in the conversation for, I feel like, even top 2 tight end. I feel like he always rounds out the bottom of the top 3, with Kyle Pitts being that number 2 slot. Is that, do you guys agree with that ranking, or do you guys have any other thoughts about Mark Andrews? Let's see. I want to hear Eric's take on Mark Andrews here.
So I do think Mark Andrews is kind of undervalued for how good he is. He's so consistent year to year. He should be top 2, him and Kelce, right? Like before this point. Man, I like me some Isaiah Likely, though. He really came on towards the end of last year, and I think you're going to see a lot more 2 tight end sets this year, and I think they're going to try to get Likely involved. Will he take over Andrews? Absolutely not. I'm not saying like Likely is the guy over Andrews, right? But do I think I could see a Gronk Hernandez style offense where they're both trying to get them both involved? I definitely could see that. Plus, having 2 tight ends on any play is great, right? Especially with Lamar, keep him protected. If he wants to run, he can run. I'm also very bullish on Likely. I have a bunch of Likely stock, and I'm pretty high on him. But I think any argument that doesn't have for this season Andrews is 2 is probably incorrect.
Do you want to know a site that has Andrews as their 1?
Yes.
Last Word on Sports.
We should have had a rule in here for self-plug.
Oh, there's all sorts of self-plug. P.S. Check us out on Etsy. Made a new fashion line. You should all wear some. No, but I have the tier broken down that it's Andrews, Pitts, and Kelce, and it's basically like your flavor of the week. But I do have Andrews as the 1 because I think it blends perfectly. Like he's young enough that he's useful for a while, but he's elite enough that he's useful now. And then Pitts is like, it could be anything. It could be a boat. And then Kelce is the boat that you hope that Pitts is. So
I like it. Yeah. I mean, I was basically just going off consensus. But you know, we're a little more sharp than consensus here on the RPG cast. Thank you, Mike, for that good take. Besides Andrews, I mean, we've kind of talked the gambit about the Ravens. You guys want to go into the wide receivers at all? Is that worth kind of talking about? Because I guess we can talk a little bit just about how you guys rank these dudes, because if what Eric says is true and Lamar's going to sling it a little more this year, they might be worth having. Odell Beckham Jr. comes in with a pretty nice little 1-year contract. Obviously has all that sort of number 1 guy pedigree. But they also have Bateman, who was supposed to be good and then got hurt a lot. And then they have the first round and like drafted guy of Zay Flowers. I mean, who do you guys want out of these guys at cost? Mike, who do you want?
I personally, rookie fever has bit everybody. So they're all in on Flowers. And then OBJ made that one-handed catch back when like Avengers 1 came out. So
I think I was in high school when that happened.
So everyone still loves OBJ. But if you want fantasy points, in points per game, Bateman has been, I think, top 24, if not top 18 every time he steps on the field. So he's been a little unlucky with injury history. That's a drink. Ravens cannot catch a break. But I think that Bateman has the most potential to be the dude and continue to be the dude moving forward. When you look at his frame, you look at his ability, and you look at what he has already done on the football field. I know Flowers is your like heartthrob, Corey, but I would rather have QJ. I'd rather have Addison. I'd rather have JSN. He's my 4th receiver in this draft.
I have professed my love for Zay Flowers. I will be honest with you. The Ravens spot has killed a lot of that love for me. Unfortunate as it is, I really liked Zay Flowers. Kind of like with Zach Charbonnet. I liked him on any other team. than the Ravens, because Odell Beckham is still Odell Beckham. And even if he is like starting to fall off, he's going to get fed, even if they're bad targets or whatever. And we're going to see Rashad Bateman. I mean, as long as he can stay healthy, that's the big question. If he does, then it's going to be Rashad Bateman's show in the receiving game past Mark Andrews. So Zay Flowers just doesn't have a spot in this, like, still, no matter what you say. I mean, Monken aside, it's going to be run heavy because Lamar Jackson, that's what he does. He's going to run 7-8 times a game for chunk plays. So I'm just, yeah, it sucks for me. I don't really want any Raven that isn't like Lamar Jackson or Dobbins or Mark Andrews. I don't really want any of the wide receivers. Eric, do you want any of these wide receivers?
In Dynasty, I want to stash Zay Flowers. Like, I feel like the potential, the talent, the upside is there. Whether it's on the Ravens or at the end of his rookie, he goes somewhere. Like, I don't know, but I feel like I want him on my Dynasty team, right? I think this is actually a really good question. That what is? I'm totally blanking. I had this great question and I'm totally blanking right now. Alcohol is killing me. Oh, I remember. Does Odell Beckham lead the Ravens in receptions this year, or is he cut by midseason? What's more likely?
It's more likely he's cut. It's more likely he's cut, and it's not close. Because Andrews is going to be in front of him for receptions. Flowers or Bateman is going to be in front of him for receptions. And he's going to put
he's going to be
together.
cut, though.
Well, his dad's going to put together a video of all the times Lamar misses it.
Lamar's not throwing to my boy.
Like, I don't know, Corey. I think he might be, because they're paying him what, 18 mil this year? Something crazy. He's expecting to come in and be the dude. And if he is not the dude, he has proven over in the past that he's not happy about it. He has ACL surgery on what? Both knees.
Yeah.
If he starts making a problem, you're telling me John Harbaugh isn't the type of coach to be like, this guy needs to go.
Okay. No, yeah, I guess that's fair. My gut just off the bat was like, I don't think it'll be cut. I still think it'll be Mark Andrews to lead in receptions, but yeah, breaking it all down like that, injury history, age, his wage, that rhymes. I'm getting drunk. Yeah, I get what you're saying. It makes sense. Okay. Well, that's the Ravens, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you guys off. My neighbors are setting off fireworks like into our house. Like one just like dinked off the side of my house. So
that's awesome.
I may have to leave to stop my house from burning down.
Do you have fireworks of your own to like fire back at them?
Yeah, it's all out war.
Oh boy. Mike, we're with you, man. Just let us know if you need anything.
We ride at dawn.
All right.
We are the British are coming.